Hello everyone, Voodoo here, and with the world first race being officially over, congratulations to Echo for the win on Farak. It's time we take a step back and talk about Havoc Demon Hunter potentially being nerfed. So nerfs were never going to happen before the world first race ended because that would just be weird and kind of unfair. But now that it's over, it's very likely we'll see some kind of balance patch coming in the next few weeks. Maybe I'm recording this Monday, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, who knows. Before we get to that though, make sure you like the video, comment, subscribe, all that cool stuff. We are approaching 10k, which is insane. Follow me on Twitch, join the Discord as well. Both of those are in the description. And while you're down there, if you want to support me, become a channel member. So let's get into it. So obviously first, Echo got Farak world first. Good for them. Liquid came second. As of recording this, no one's gotten third yet. Method probably will take it, but you know, congrats to all of them. But a lot of that has been, as people have seen, due to strong performance for a few different specs. So if we look over here at logs, specifically for just Raid for now, we can see the two classes at the top, Assassination Rogue and Havoc Demon Hunter. Now you can see here Assassination Rogue very much ahead of the others. I'll move my camera over here so you guys can see the bottom here. Assassination Rogue is insanely far ahead. Havoc's also on top, so that definitely, you know, makes you wonder a little bit. However, the bigger thing besides this raid, which we'll come back to and touch on, is going to be in Mythic Plus. Mythic Plus, people have been seeing Havoc Demon Hunters do a crazy amount of things, which has called for a, well, not called for, but caused a large outcry amongst the community about nerfs. So if we swap over to Raid.io real quick, we can see the timed leaderboards for keys. So I'm looking specifically at time keys 20 and up. If you look at all levels, you get a pretty different picture based on just like class popularity. You'll think that Ret's way better than it is, yada yada. But we'll do 20. We can even go further to 25 and up, where we see a pretty much different story. But for now, we'll start at 20. So at 20 and up, we can see that Havoc Demon Hunter accounts for 9.1% of the meta. Now, in such a broad range as 20 and up, that's actually a pretty big thing. So if you've timed a key over 20 with a 200,000 sample size done, 9% of the characters that have timed keys 20 and up are Havoc Demon Hunters, which is pretty big. If we go just to DPS, it actually shoots up to 14%, and if we go to melee, it shoots up even higher to like 30% roughly, which is a very large portion. Back in season 2, before the God comp came around, Shadow Priest was 20 some percent, 22, 23%, which means that in every single key you'd see, well, not every single key, but in like most keys you'd see Shadow. 33% means it is one copy in every single key. But right now we're at 14% of the DPS, which is still a large chunk. Now we can see Beast Mastery is at 12, Og is at 8, Ret's at 9, but I think that's just kind of a population thing. If we go even higher, we can see that Havoc is at 26 with Og at 21. Now, early on here, looking at 25 and up is going to be a bit different than looking at, you know, later on in the season, because people who are doing 25s right now are going to be the best players. And the best players are going to be using whatever they think the best comp is, and they're not going to change that, right? So this doesn't really talk about what a meta is for most people, but looking at 20, I think does paint a picture that Havoc and Beast Mastery are really high up. If you scroll down here, we can see in all of these top time keys, which are currently 27s for a few different dungeons, we can see that Havoc is present in a lot of these keys, with some of them having 2, and I've heard there's a triple Havoc key. I didn't look for it. But I have heard that's on the pages somewhere. We can see, you know, top key in the world has a DH, number 3 is a DH 4, 6 has 2, 7 has 1, 8 has 1, and so on and so on. So a lot of people are crying for Havoc nerfs. And that's kind of the idea here, right? Is will we be nerfed? I unfortunately, I do think we'll probably catch some kind of nerf. I'll touch on what that'll be, but if you look at this meta here, we also see Og is actually present in every single key. So Og is certainly, I think, more popular than Havoc is, which is kind of funny. But we can see there's actually a pretty healthy meta, I will say, besides the Havoc Demon Hunter and Og stuff. The last slot is pretty open. You have a lot of mages, right? Well, I guess not a lot. There's the same people, but like mages show up 3 times. There's some rogues, so if you scroll down a bit, druids, which are Boomy specifically, are there. Lots of warlocks. Demonology is really good. So I think that, yes, Havoc will be nerfed, but I don't think it'll be as bad as people think so. A lot of people right now are seeing like plus 20s where a Havoc, because your damage is all front loaded, will just blast the pack apart and no one else will have any time to DPS. That won't be the case in higher keys. where, you know, these are happening where other classes can shine. Certainly there are classes that keep up with Havoc, but I do think because of the community, Havoc will be nerfed a little bit. We're very, very good, probably best in keys, and right now we are number 2 overall in Mythic Raid. Now if you look at like a single target boss, we're a little bit worse. Now I will say, it's early on in the season, not a lot of people have like BIS gear sets. Havoc's top half, maybe like number 8 or number 9 or something in terms of absolute BIS. When you look at like our single target sim, we're at like 244, 245, which is like upper middle. Like we're above the middle. We're not top 5 or anything, but like we're good. So our single target isn't anything crazy. Obviously early on here, you'll see that we're pretty high up in terms of like a single target boss like Volcaros, behind the rogues, behind BM, enhancement, survival, and then it's us with Havoc, Feral being really close. But realistically, we're nothing like too special in single target. A lot of these classes here are pretty similar to us. Look, overall, we're on top, but again, that's a lot due to cleave bosses. Gnarl Root we perform really well on. Igara we do really well on. Something like Laradar we do really well on if you're like bursting trees down and stuff. Council we can do well because it's a cleave boss, so a lot of that is being pumped up by the cleave, but we are in a really good spot. Now the question is, will we be nerfed? And I do think that's going to happen, but how will that happen? So this is our BIS single target sim, and I did one for AoE as well in like a D-slice sim. So right now we can see here that our top damage is Death Sweep, Annihilation, and all that stuff, with Immolation Aura being at like 5%. If we go over to our D-Slice sim, which isn't a perfect representation of Mythic Plus, but it's like not bad. And of course this does have a lot of buffs, which it shouldn't, but whatever. So looking at D-Slice, we see that Immolation Aura is like 14% of our damage overall. That includes Rage Fire, which is 6%, Immolation Aura is 8%. In a real key, this will be higher. In a real key, you'll see Immolation Aura itself being like 12%, 14%, and then Rage Fire being anywhere from like 8 to 10. So roughly 20% of our damage can be attributed to Immolation Aura itself. So 20%, we'll say 15 to 20% in Mythic Plus, 5% in single target, 8% maybe in cleave, hard to say, but you know, it's somewhere in that range. So I do think that Immolation Aura, you know, as we've established, our big thing is cleave and AoE and stuff, you know, who can see us in Mythic Plus here. So I think Immolation Aura will end up eating a nerf. I think maybe like a 20% nerfed Immolation Aura or something. However, I am a little bit worried that will knock us off a lot in terms of single target. 20% nerf here is going to be like 1 or 2%, which isn't that, you know, big of a deal in the end of the day. It's pretty manageable, but with everything being so closely tuned in single target, 1 or 2% off of this will actually end up putting us down pretty far, just in terms of like how close everything is. And that's not accounting the bump Unholy, Fury, Arms, Ret, and Frost Death Knight are going to get from their two-handed weapon, which is pretty crazy. I don't have a picture here, but it's really good. I'm sure you've seen it by now. It's very strong, at least it seems to be. So Havoc will end up probably dropping down and being passed by all these two-handed strength specs. You know, the 1 to 2% nerf, the single target coupled with their big cleave weapon, which I think looks crazy in cleave too. So if we do eat an Immolation or a nerf, I do think it'll rein in our AoE by a lot. 20% off of like 20% of your damage is like 5% or something like that. No, that'd be 25%. It's like 4% or something. So I think a 4 to 5% nerf to Havoc is pretty good in AoE. And will rein us down to pretty solid levels, nothing too crazy. However, I do think to offset that, some kind of Chaos Strike or like Throw Glaive buff should happen as well, because that'll put us really low down on single target. You already see here a lot of these top logs are just like assassination rogues. Like if we look at Gnarl Root, which is cleave and single target with a damage amp, I guess, but like whatever. Most assassination, some Havoc, a lot of Warlock and BM and stuff like that. So I think at the end of the day, when they do nerf Havoc, because I do think they will, I do think we're overpowered Mythic Plus right now. I do think we need some kind of single target buff as well, just to compensate, just so that we don't fall off again. Because I'm really worried. This happened before where we were nerfed in season 1 based off of like M0 stuff, where things are dying super quickly, and then everything else is buffed past us in later patches, and we just fell off really hard in season 2. Now, this is the last major patch, so I don't know what, you know, like what is it called there, season 4 or whatever, Faded. I don't know what Faded will bring. We know what's happening, don't know what it's going to be. But I think it is pretty fair to expect some kind of immolation or enough nerf, and hopefully some kind of Chaos Strike buff to offset it so that we don't fall behind a single target, and so that we keep some strong priority damage in our Dungeon Slice and AoE profiles. But yeah, so that's kind of going to be it for this video. I just want to talk about if we're going to be nerfed, if, you know, whatever, just pretty quickly. Now, I do think that ass rogues need to be nerfed pretty hard. They're insane right now. BM's also really strong. Enhancement Shaman's really strong. The mages are good. Demonology is good. So I don't think Havoc is as far as an outlier as people will say or are expecting. I think the meta's in a pretty good spot. You know, we got Warrior, Prop Paladin, Monk, Demon Hunter, tanks. We got a ton of different healers. We got a ton of different DPS. So it's much better than in 10.1.5 with God Comp. But I would expect some kind of change to Havoc Demon Hunters. Whenever you're seeing two of the same class in a top key, that's probably an alarm in Blizzard's head, and I'm hoping they're pretty level-headed with these nerfs. But yeah, so that's gonna be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think. How hard do you think Havoc's gonna get nerfed? Be nice about it, you know. But yeah, we're good, and hopefully we stay that way afterwards. So that'll be it. Make sure you follow the channel, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Join me on Twitch, join the Discord, cool things like that. I'll have another video later this week, and yeah, I'll catch you guys later. So peace. A big shout out to all of my channel members. Thank you, Andrew Keenel, Fede Gregori, Joshua O'Connell, Latand, Period, Brad Wisniak, Zuligan, It's Bulk, Magic Man 133, and Howley. Again, thank you all so much. You guys are a big support and a big help to the channel. If you want to become a channel member and help support me, get access to a few cool perks, like some exclusive videos, special channel, my Discord, and stuff like that, then click the link in the description. Otherwise, thank you all so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.